Used to make paper airplanes and throw them out into the yard. I made a wish before they fell down. Maybe my dreams were too large, 'cause now I feel so small in this great big city all alone. Oh, now I seem so far from everything I know. Too busy paying my bills to pay attention to my feelings, and I'm too caught up in my head to call my friends I haven't seen in a while. It's been a year.
Okay, so we've gotten quite a bit of response to that particular item, interface of energy and technology. So I'll be getting into that today and tomorrow in order to get you some response on that. But we're getting a pretty good response that shows your abilities in this interface, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can present to us in the remainder of the semester that we have left to us. Next week we have 2 days. Let's see, someone's trying to get in. We have 2 days next week to go through a few of your items, and hoping you'll be there to talk us through any challenges you may have had and to continue the conversation about your particular topic. So everything looks like we're right on track here. Are there any questions at the moment about the assignments? Any questions about how to make this voice thread happen? Before we get a look at what some of these movers and shakers are saying about our energy psychology right now in the culture. Any questions about trying to get your views across using the VoiceThread interface? This is Mr. Gates on Bloomberg. Of course, Mr. Gates would have access to Bloomberg. They'd be interested to hear what he has to say. Bloomberg is a very mainstream publication, primarily because it's all about money and the stock market and industry and all that. So when Bill Gates talks, it's very much of interest in this context. So here he's going to be talking not only about nuclear power, but he gets into carbon tax, which is a means of encouraging a shift out of carbon producing industries. In other words, if you produce a lot of carbon, you're costing our economy a lot of money, so you will get a tax on that. Whether or not the actual outcome would be to encourage a clean industry has yet to be resolved. He talks about climate in general, and he talks about AI, and one of my themes here has been that technology has been one of the drivers that makes these technologies work. If you put in, like Elon Musk put in that central battery, the world's largest battery, only a part of it was the storage. The other part of it was the technology to manage the systems. So he's basically subsidizing their grid system with power control systems. sun comes up, the sun goes down, the sun is hot one day, and the next day it's raining. How to manage all that up and down in the context of batteries and solar production is a big deal and a big part of what he's putting in. So artificial intelligence, the intelligence that we build into our machines, that component is huge, and the same thing would apply to wind as well. You have a windy day, and then you have a calm day. You have a windy day, you have a calm day. Of course, that all relates to climate, temperature as well. It relates to weather. If it's hot day and it was a cold day, and you have a hot and a cold system bumping into each other that creates winds, and then you've got a very substantial wind system that's going to produce wind, and there is no way for the grid to take power at the moment and hold on to it. Basically, if you need more power, you have to produce it. If you need less power, you produce less power. So there are very clear advantages to having a very intelligent grid system that could say, okay, we've got too much energy coming in, we'll store it, and we'll store it until we can't store it anymore, and then we'll release it at the best points in time. So anyway, this is a good conversation. It may not be the most dynamically produced media, but this is certainly somebody who has something to say, and he is quite articulate, so I'm hoping you'll get quite a bit out of this. So here we go. Okay, quite informative, and there's so much more going on at that scale with people at that level who can mobilize resources at that billion-dollar endeavors. So he's saying that he mobilized maybe 21 people in just with a few phone calls to invest in this breakthrough energy ventures, and so there is a lot of that private work. I don't know if I would call it philanthropy, but he did refer to it as philanthropy. It is philanthropy in that it is not profit motivated. It is actually quite practical. So I thought this was intriguing from the perspective, that lofty perspective of you make a few phone calls and you make a difference. That was huge. Again, my take on this is that it would take a lot of private money, and these are people who are in the position. From what I understand, Mr. Musk is on line to be the world's first trillionaire. That's like an entire country's economy right there. So it could be quite intriguing to see how these things play out. But a couple of things I want to point out. He does confirm that nuclear as we know it is stifled because we are using ancient technology. The new technology, nuclear, is in fact the goal right now for Mr. Gates is to do a demo plant in the U.S. And so that might be markedly different than doing that somewhere else. Certainly the endeavor is different. But he does have a lot of organizations around him, TerraPower, this Breakthrough Energy Ventures, so a lot of intellectual power and financial power sitting right there on the right-hand side of your screen. He's also talking about perhaps transmission is a huge part of this. The transmission of energy. You've got superconducting transmission, which we talked about, where superconductors lose no energy over distance. However, you've got to freeze the line to a point where I don't see how that's practical to do any long distance superconducting transmission. However, for shorter distances, there is no loss. They refer to it as lossless transmission. So, anyway, quite intriguing. So the other side of my formula here, in addition to nuclear, was storage. Now, Mr. Gates apparently has had to swallow a few rather bitter pills. He's invested in storage and sees how storage can dramatically transform things, and yet he's lost money each time. Poor Mr. Gates. But he has lost money on battery storage or on storage itself. So perhaps I think he refers to it as some miraculous breakthroughs. And of course, there could very well be some dramatic changes in storage that would allow us to even out the production from wind and solar. I've used this comparison like two sine waves that are out of sync. You're going to get peaks and valleys, and then with one sine wave, you put another sine wave that's out of sync, you're going to have worse peaks and worse valleys. So the idea of evening out that with energy storage, to me, is still crucial to our energy future. Any comments so far? You guys have anything in particular that you want to say about this? I have a very short media piece we can move into next. Nothing in particular? Okay. Here's an item on energy storage. This is an item from CNBC. It's gotten about 2 million views so far, and it's quite a I think it's intriguing, and it also gives a sort of balanced view of battery storage and the future of battery storage. But this is only maybe 15 minutes, so we'll jump right into this. Okay, CNBC. This is an item on storage, the future of energy storage, and they do say beyond lithium ion. So we have talked about some options to lithium ion, and that lithium ion remains the primary source for us as a culture and as a planet. But this is quite intriguing as well. Okay, so you notice the next item here is about fusion and the future of nuclear power. So, of course, fusion is one of my favorites, but as it has been said, it's always been something of the future, and it is way out there. Gates is saying that his systems could be in place by 2022. That would be a miraculous timeline, 2022. But a guy like Bill Gates could make that happen. A guy like Musk could make those kind of storage challenges happen. You will notice that the one gentleman here stated that while battery storage may be good for localized production of power or storage of power, you need other systems in the mix for utility scale. So his notion is that Tesla's view is a little limited to battery storage. And that his system, for example, which is the gravity system, allows for a little more robust storage. He was demonstrating, at least by modeling it, a 350 megawatt system, as opposed to the 100 megawatt systems that Tesla has been boasting about and others have been striving towards. The contention here from this gentleman is that you need to get into the 350 megawatt level before you're really now talking utility scale. And certainly in the United States, that may very well be true. It may be less true in a country like Australia, but it is certainly true in a place like the US. So, baseline power linked with storage can dramatically alter our carbon footprint, and the more I see of this topic, the more that I would concur with that. Okay, so this week you have your projects to work on. If there are any questions, particularly about the VoiceThread interface, you can refer that back to me. If you have any issues with Blackboard, of course you've got the Open SUNY for Blackboard. But Blackboard support only goes to the point where that third-party VoiceThread takes over. So we would need to work our way through any issues with VoiceThread. And admittedly, on first brush, without experience with the software, it can seem a little difficult. Okay, I'd rather push through one last item. It's rather short. I'd rather push through this than take a break and come back. This is graphene batteries. You see this here, major breakthrough. Graphene batteries are finally here. Apparently, there is a possibility that micro batteries or this micro scale battery technology could make all the difference. So we're going to take a quick look at that. Okay, exciting. Yeah, this is from, if you'll notice, it's from February of 2020. and they're saying that the Samsung people are expecting to release their phones with the graphene battery in a year. So you're looking at February of 21. So change with technology being what it is now. We're looking at these graphene batteries by 21. We're looking at Gates's projections of nuclear going into 22. So this indeed could be the roaring 20s when it comes to growth in technology, and particularly in the energy aspects of that. So no assignments, no homework, except for getting your final project assembled. Use everything you've learned so far to get a convincing media piece, and I'll look forward to digging into that. I'll be looking at your comments to my own piece later today. And we will talk again this coming Tuesday, and I will look forward to that. So enjoy your weekend. Thanks for being here. Andy, thank you. Anthony, same. Hannah Lynn, Marissa, thanks for being here. Thank you so much.
I used to make paper airplanes and throw them out into the yard. I made a wish before they fell down. Maybe my dreams were too large, 'cause now I feel so small in this great big city all alone. Oh, now I seem so far from everything